It is now time for a quick weather update with Nebraska Extension Ag Climatologist and Market Journal Chief Meteorologist Eric Hunt. Eric, producers starting to get a bit anxious in portions of the state about getting into the fields for the upcoming growing season. But as we move into April, there's always those chances of April showers leading to May flowers. You got some of those in your forecast?
Well, thanks, Bryce. I actually have some good news for those that are actually wanting to get out in the fields here to get some work, get some planting in here by the middle of April. Speaking of those April showers, this area of low pressure moving into Nebraska on Saturday is going to give a good chance of moisture for a good portion of the state. The exception probably being parts of southwestern Nebraska. But the Panhandle, there's going to be a pretty good period of rain starting Saturday into Sunday. There's probably even going to be some snowfall, kind of Shatter and Harrison, maybe even as far south as Scotts Bluff into Sunday. As we get to the eastern half of the state, though, we are going to be looking at probably a 2 to 4 hour window between Saturday afternoon and early Sunday morning, with chances for some heavier showers. The SPC right now, as of Thursday, is kind of keeping this area in a marginal risk. There is going to be some chance for severe weather, but right now the instability and just the moisture return isn't probably going to be quite sufficient enough to get a really big severe weather outbreak, and that's perfectly okay. We could use some moisture. We don't need the hail and the really high winds. Although with the high winds, though, on Saturday we are going to be seeing some pretty strong winds from the south. Winds could gust up to 45, 50 miles an hour. Again, I think these storms will not be producing the 100-mile-an-hour straight line winds. In terms of total precipitation in the next 5 days or going into early next week, again, highest precipitation amounts are expected in the northwestern part of the Panhandle. Some of this likely will be snow. A pretty good chance at least a half inch of moisture across eastern Nebraska. The wild card will be with that low kind of exactly where it goes once it leaves Nebraska. If it actually moves a little bit more slowly and sort of cuts off over, say, south central South Dakota, there will be a period on Sunday where we do actually have some wraparound moisture. So we do expect some additional showers, particularly across the northern portion of the state on Sunday. I think by Monday we'll be back in the clear. And then our attention later next week turns toward this trough of low pressure, which will be moving in from the west coast into Texas. If this ends up being a little bit further toward the north than what is currently forecast, then I do think we will have a pretty good chance of precipitation across particularly the southern and eastern thirds of the state. Right now, it looks like we're probably going to miss out on that. And with this stronger ridging building into the west, this will be moving into the central and eastern portion of the U.S. as we head toward later portion next week. And right now, the CPC is showing it being quite warm as we head into the second and third weeks of April. This is good news for those wanting to get out in the fields. This means warm temperatures. We're probably looking at a pretty decent stretch of temperatures for high temperatures being in the 60s and 70s, maybe even some places cracking the low 80s as we head toward April 15th. We also are looking at it probably being pretty dry as we head into the middle of April as well. So again, we probably really could use a shot of moisture in eastern Nebraska this weekend, and we probably will not have much rainfall for about 7 to 10 days after that. As we head into this is basically April 19th. So again, we are still probably going to be under the influence of ridging at that point. We are going to start paying attention to maybe some troughing moving into the western U.S. by then. That may give us a decent chance of moisture as we head into the latter portion of the month. In terms of where we have had precipitation recently, we had a good bit of moisture across portions of north central, northwestern Nebraska. Some of this actually came in the form of snow. We had a 7 to 8 inches of snow across portions of Cherry County earlier this week. That's mostly gone now. In terms of the drought update, we did not see any changes on the drought monitor this week, and I don't necessarily anticipate enough moisture to move the needle for next week either, but we should get some moisture across places that are currently in drought. And this is where we currently are with soil moisture across the state. And those all-important soil temperatures have come up a good bit. They are mostly in the 40s across the state. Thanks, and back to you, Bryce.